The sun was setting over the Pacific, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. I stood on the balcony of our Kauai hotel room, the warm breeze carrying the scent of plumeria and salt. It was our 10th anniversary vacation, a trip I'd planned meticulously to celebrate a decade with Ryan, the man I'd built a life with. But as I turned to call him for dinner, I saw it, a note on the bed, scribbled in his familiar scrawl, "I'm done, Lucy. I'm leaving with Jenna. Don't follow me." My phone buzzed with a bank alert, our joint account, drained. My suitcase was gone, my wallet empty. I was stranded, 3,000 miles from home, with nothing but the clothes on my back. My name is Lucy, and at 36, I'd just been abandoned by my husband in paradise. But Ryan didn't know I held the cards, and he was about to learn what happens when you underestimate the woman who loved you. Before that note tore my world apart, life in Portland, Oregon, was a tapestry of quiet joys and hard-won stability. The city's streets, lined with mossy trees and quirky coffee shops, felt like an extension of my soul. I'd wake to the patter of rain against my window, brewing tea in our craftsman bungalow, its creaky floors and mismatched furniture a testament to years of thrift store hunts with Ryan. As a freelance graphic designer, my days were a blend of creativity and hustle. My home office, tucked under the eaves, was a haven of chaos, sketchpads strewn across the desk, a corkboard pinned with client briefs, and a perpetually cold mug of Earl Grey. I worked with local businesses, from cozy bookstores needing logos to tech startups craving sleek branding, each project a puzzle I loved to solve. My mornings often started with emails, my afternoons with Photoshop, and my evenings with client calls, tweaking designs until they sang. I thrived on the challenge, the way a perfect font or color palette could transform a vision into reality. Ryan was the other half of my world, or so I believed. We'd met in college, at a rainy campus art fair where he'd charmed me with his quick wit and a shared love of indie music. He was a real estate agent, his days filled with open houses and client dinners, his charm sealing deals as effortlessly as it had won my heart. Our early years were a whirlwind of dreams, late-night talks about traveling the world, buying a fixer-upper, maybe starting a family. We'd laugh over cheap wine in our first apartment, a cramped studio with peeling wallpaper, plotting our future like it was a canvas we'd paint together. When Ryan's commissions faltered, I took on extra clients, working weekends to cover our bills. When he dreamed of starting his own agency, I poured my heart into his vision, designing his logo, building his website, even dipping into my savings to rent his first office space. I'd stay up late, bleary-eyed, editing his proposals while he slept, believing every sacrifice was an investment in us. Our bungalow became our sanctuary, a symbol of what we'd built. Its sage-green exterior and wraparound porch held memories, summer barbecues with friends, quiet mornings reading on the swing, Ryan's hand brushing mine as we planted lavender in the garden. For our 10th anniversary, I wanted to celebrate that love, to remind us of the spark that had carried us through. I planned a week in Kauai, envisioning sun-drenched days snorkeling in turquoise waters, romantic sunset cruises, and a vow renewal on a secluded beach. I spent months researching, booking flights, a boutique hotel with ocean views, and activities that would make Ryan smile, a helicopter tour, a luau, a private dinner under the stars. The costs piled up, charged to our joint credit card, but I didn't care. This was for us, a chance to reconnect after years of drifting. My best friend, Mia, helped me plan, laughing at my color-coded itinerary. "You're such a control freak," she teased, folding my sundresses into the suitcase. I grinned, imagining Ryan's face when he saw the surprise. My parents, who'd always adored him, called to wish us well, their voices warm with pride. Everything felt perfect, a dream I'd crafted with love. But dreams, I'd learn, could hide nightmares. The signs of Ryan's betrayal crept in slowly, like cracks in a foundation I didn't want to inspect. His late nights at the office became routine, his phone buzzing with texts he'd swipe away with a vague, client stuff. I'd catch him checking his screen at dinner, his eyes darting before he'd flash a smile and change the subject. He started wearing a new cologne, sharp and unfamiliar, not the woodsy scent I'd gifted him for Christmas. His gym bag, once a predictable mix of sweaty towels, held a shirt I didn't recognize, too small, too trendy, with a faint trace of perfume. I found a receipt in his car for a cocktail bar in Seattle, dated a Thursday he'd claimed to be working late. "Just a client meeting," he said when I asked, his grin too polished, his hand brushing mine as if to erase my doubt. I swallowed my unease, blaming the long hours, the stress of his agency. But the doubts lingered, a quiet hum I couldn't silence. His affection cooled, too, like a flame flickering out. The spontaneous hugs, the way he'd pull me close while we chopped vegetables for dinner, they faded, replaced by distracted nods and half-hearted kisses. He'd come home late, smelling of whiskey and excuses, his stories about networking growing flimsier. One night, I woke to find him texting in the dark, his face illuminated by the screen, his thumbs moving quickly. "Who's that?" I asked, my voice soft but sharp. "Just a colleague," he said, locking the phone and rolling over. I lay awake, the knot in my stomach tightening. 2 weeks before the trip, I saw a text from Jenna on his phone, left carelessly on the counter. "Can't wait for Kauai." My heart sank, the words a cold splash of reality. "Who's Jenna?" I asked, keeping my tone light. He laughed, too quick, too loud. "A colleague. She's joining a group trip with some clients." His eyes didn't meet mine, and I nodded, wanting to believe him, needing to believe him. I packed my doubts away with my sandals, telling myself it was nothing, that Kauai would fix us. The truth hit a week before we left, in the quiet of our living room. Ryan was in the shower, his laptop open on the coffee table, a careless mistake. An email notification popped up, the sender's name glowing, Jenna Carter. The subject line read, "Our plan." My fingers hovered over the trackpad, guilt warring with suspicion. I clicked, and the world tilted. "I'm so ready for this," Jenna wrote. "Just us, no distractions. You're sure she won't suspect?" My breath caught, the words blurring as I scrolled. More emails, each a knife, plans for Kauai, a hotel booked in her name, promises of a new life together. Ryan was leaving me, using our anniversary trip as his escape. I clicked through photos attached to one email, Ryan and Jenna at a rooftop bar, her arm around him, his smile brighter than it had been with me in years. My hands trembled, but I didn't cry. I saved every email, every photo, every receipt linked to our joint account, dinners, gifts, her plane ticket. I backed them up to a private cloud folder, my fingers moving with a calm I didn't feel. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Confrontation would give him power. Instead, I'd let him think he was winning, while I built my defense. In that Kauai hotel room, the note in my hand, the weight of Ryan's betrayal crashed over me like a wave. The plumeria scent choked me, the sunset's beauty a cruel mockery of my pain. My phone buzzed again, another bank alert, $12,000 withdrawn, the account at zero. My suitcase, my wallet, my sense of security, gone, stolen by the man who'd vowed to protect me. I sank onto the bed, the crisp white sheets cold against my skin. The note's words burned, "I'm done, Lucy. Don't follow me." Done. After a decade of love, of sacrifice, of building a life together, he'd reduced me to a scribbled goodbye. My chest tightened, grief and rage tangling in a knot I couldn't untie. I thought of our wedding, his hand warm in mine as we danced under string lights, promising forever. I thought of the nights I'd worked late to pay our bills, the mornings I'd woken to his smile. All lies. All dust. But beneath the pain, a spark flickered. Ryan thought he'd left me helpless, but he'd miscalculated. I wasn't the woman he could discard. I was the woman who'd carried him, and I'd carry myself out of this, too. I picked up my phone, my hands steady now, and dialed Mia. "He's gone," I said, my voice firm despite the ache. He took everything. Mia's voice cracked with shock. That bastard. What do you need? I told her about the note, the empty account, the missing suitcase. A flight home, I said. And call Emily, my lawyer. Mia didn't hesitate, her anger a mirror to my own. I'm on it. Stay strong, Lucy. I hung up, the spark in my chest growing into a flame. This wasn't over. Ryan would pay, not with tears, but with the consequences of his own arrogance. The week before the trip had been a masterclass in deception, not Ryan's, but mine. After finding the emails, I played the part of the oblivious wife, smiling through breakfasts, packing with feigned excitement. I'd watched him, noting every lie, every glance at his phone. But behind the scenes, I was fortifying my position. I called my bank, setting up a personal account and transferring my freelance earnings, $15,000 Ryan didn't know about because he never asked about my income. I'd always been the planner, the one who tracked our budget, while he spent freely, assuming I'd cover the gaps. I sent the emails, photos, and receipts to Emily Nguyen, my lawyer, who'd helped me with client contracts. This is financial fraud, she said over the phone, her tone sharp. He's using joint funds for an affair. We can freeze the account and pursue damages, but we need to wait for the right moment. I agreed, not wanting to alert him. I also reviewed our travel insurance, a policy I'd insisted on for the trip, and found a clause allowing cancellation for personal emergencies. It was a lifeline, one I'd kept hidden. I checked our joint credit card statements, confirming every charge Ryan had made for Jenna, $2,000 in dinners, $1,500 in gifts, $800 for her ticket. I saved it all, my heart heavy but my mind clear. Ryan thought he was clever, but I was building a case he'd never see coming. That night in Kauai, alone in the hotel room, I moved with a purpose born of betrayal. The ocean's rhythm outside was a distant pulse, drowned out by the hum of my laptop as I opened my cloud folder. The evidence was there, a digital fortress of Ryan's lies, emails planning his escape, photos of him and Jenna, bank alerts confirming his theft. I emailed Emily, attaching the note's photo and a detailed account of his actions. He's drained the account and left me stranded, I wrote. I want to move forward with everything we discussed. Then I called the hotel front desk, my voice steady as I explained my situation. Leilani, the clerk, was a godsend, her voice warm with empathy. This is awful, she said. We'll comp your room for tonight, and I'll arrange a cab to the airport tomorrow. Do you need anything else? I thanked her, her kindness a reminder that not everyone was like Ryan. I sat back, the note still in my hand, and let myself feel the weight of what had happened. The man I'd loved had planned this, every detail calculated to leave me broken. But I wasn't broken. I was angry, and anger was fuel. The turning point came as dawn broke over Kauai, the sky a soft pink that belied the storm in my heart. I realized Ryan's betrayal had handed me power, not weakness. The joint credit card, used for the entire trip, was in my name alone, a detail he'd overlooked because I always paid the bills. He'd charged everything to it, from our flights to Jenna's hotel, assuming I'd foot the cost. I called the credit card company, navigating the automated menu with a calm I didn't fully feel. I need to report fraudulent charges, I said, listing the expenses for Jenna's ticket, their dinners, her hotel. The representative was efficient, freezing the card and promising to reverse the charges pending investigation. Ryan and Jenna would soon find their bookings void, their paradise unraveling. But the real card was our house. Years ago, when Ryan's credit was shaky, we'd put the deed in my name alone, a practical decision he'd shrugged off. It's our house, he'd said, never questioning it. Now, it was my fortress. I emailed Emily, instructing her to draft a letter stating Ryan had no legal claim and must vacate within 30 days. If he fought, we'd pursue fraud charges. I also filed a travel insurance claim, citing personal emergency, to refund my half of the trip's costs. The policy, in my name, would send the money to me. Ryan's carelessness had left him exposed, and I was ready to strike. By midday, I was on a flight home, Mia's miles covering the ticket. The plane's hum was a backdrop to my thoughts as I refined my plan with Emily. We'd freeze the joint account officially, file for divorce, and demand Ryan repay the $12,000 he'd stolen. The house letter would hit him hardest, stripping away the home he thought was his. I imagined his face, the smugness fading as he realized his mistake. Emily's email came through mid-flight, confirming the divorce papers were ready and the letter was sent to his office, where Jenna would likely see it. I also checked our joint email, one Ryan rarely used but I monitored for bills. Messages from the Kauai hotel flooded in, stating their room was unpaid due to the card freeze. Jenna's social media post, already public, was a bitter rant, worst trip ever. Never trust a man's promises. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Their dream was collapsing, and I'd orchestrated it with precision. Back in Portland, I stayed at Mia's, avoiding the house until Ryan returned. My friends, outraged by his actions, formed a group chat, sharing the truth with our circle. Mia's texts were fiery, "He's done. Everyone's cutting him off." Ryan's charm, his social currency, was evaporating, and I hadn't said a word. The consequences came swiftly. Ryan called 3 days later, his voice a mix of panic and fury. "Lucy, you froze the card. You're kicking me out of our house. This is insane." I let him vent, his words a desperate attempt to reclaim control. When he paused, I spoke, my tone cold as steel. "You left me stranded, Ryan. You stole my money, my things, and thought I'd just take it. The house is mine. The card is mine. And you're out of moves." He tried to pivot, his voice softening. "Jenna was a mistake. We can work this out, Lucy. We're still us." I laughed, the sound sharp and unyielding. "There's no us. You chose her. Now deal with it." I hung up, my pulse racing but my resolve unshaken. Emily's letter had hit its mark, and the credit card reversal left him owing thousands. Jenna, I learned through Mia, had left him, unwilling to share his financial ruin. Their Kauai escape had lasted less than a day, their hotel stay cut short when the front desk demanded payment. Ryan's social media, once full of polished photos, was silent, his friends' likes replaced by cold indifference. The aftermath was a journey of rebuilding and reckoning. I moved back into the bungalow, changing the locks and repainting the walls a soft blue, erasing Ryan's presence. The creaky floors felt like home again, each step a reminder of my strength. Work was my refuge, my designs sharper, my client pitches infused with a new confidence. I took on bigger projects, landing a contract with a national bookstore chain, my portfolio growing as my reputation did. But the pain lingered, surfacing in quiet moments. I'd find Ryan's old coffee mug in a cupboard and feel a pang, or drive past our favorite hiking trail and remember his laugh. I let myself grieve, not for him, but for the life I'd thought we'd share. Mia was my anchor, dragging me to art walks and trivia nights, her laughter a balm. "You're a badass," she'd say, pouring wine. My parents, who'd seen Ryan as a son, called weekly, their voices heavy with guilt. "We should have noticed," my mother said, her words trembling. I didn't blame them. I'd been blind, too. Financially, Ryan was sinking. He repaid the $12,000, borrowing from his parents, who were furious at his recklessness. His agency lost clients, his reputation tarnished as word of his actions spread. He moved into a dingy apartment, his dreams of grandeur reduced to a single room. 6 months later, I stood in my backyard, stringing fairy lights for a housewarming party. The lavender we'd planted years ago bloomed, its scent mingling with the crisp Portland air. My business was thriving, the bookstore contract leading to more offers, my designs featured in industry blogs. I'd refinanced the mortgage, the house officially mine, a testament to my resilience. Ryan tried to reach out once, a pitiful email about starting over. I deleted it, my heart untouched. Jenna had moved to Seattle, her social media a ghost town. At the party, Mia raised a glass, her eyes sparkling. To Lucy, who turned betrayal into victory. The crowd cheered, friends and colleagues who'd seen me rise. I smiled, thinking of Kauai, the note, the moment I chose myself. Ryan thought he'd left me with nothing, but he'd given me everything, a chance to rebuild, to rediscover the woman I'd always been. What do you do when someone tries to break you? You show them you're unbreakable.